in brightest day, in blackest night. No evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light. Pretty cool, huh?
Hi everybody, I'm Jim Ford.
I'm Chad Bokelman.
I'm Corwin Kroll.
And I'm Mark Marble.
And this is the LanternCast.
Episode 191.
Yeah.
Sinestro Core War.
The retrospective.
About friggin' time.
Through the years.
Yeah, well maybe if somebody had gotten around to it sooner.
That's why you're on. We had to drag one of you back to fulfill your promise.
I always said that I would be here for it. I don't know about Dan.
Just call him out like that. Don't you still have to?
Not like he'll listen to the episode or anything later.
Don't you still have to podcast with him?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just won't mention it.
Dan and I had a falling out over Green Lantern, but we still record the Sliders cast.
But we're finally doing it, folks. We're getting around to Sinestro Core War in one episode. God help us all.
Yes.
Everyone.
As far as keeping it within a time limit. We're actually excited to cover the material. But a time limit, we'll see how we can do.
Oh, I think we'll be able to do it. No problem.
All right.
Well, with me doing the recap, no problem.
Yes, a relatively nice, crisp recap is always, we'll guarantee we'll finish under a reasonable amount of time.
Under the 3-hour mark.
I was thinking, I was dreaming of 2, but no more than 2.5 at the worst.
Oh, man. You know, listening to you guys, and I listen to you guys all the time. It's funny because, like, 1 week, Mark will have the better reviews, and then the next week, like, Chad will have the better reviews. And, like, you guys kind of, like, alternate like that. So, like, you know, one issue, like, you know, Mark just, like, you know, goes through it, hits all the high points, and then you discuss it, you know, and then Chad will be like, you know, oh, my God. And then on this page, you have, like, you know, Hal Jordan's hair, which is slightly flopped down in this panel. In any case, yeah, like, this is, all things, you know, totaled up with the tie-ins and the prologue and the epilogue. You had like 16 issues.
True.
Yeah, it's hard to. It was real easy to forget how long, and not in a bad way, Derlin people, how long this storyline was, but yet how interesting it was.
Yeah. Well, you know, you only had like what was it, 5 issues of each book. Yeah, it was like a 5-issue series, you know, for Green Lantern, 5 issues for Green Lantern Corps, and then the prologue, the epilogue was in Green Lantern Corps, and then there were the 4 tie-ins.
Now, go ahead, Gordon.
I was just going to give the issues because, of course, there's the Green Lantern Sinestro Corps War Special, Green Lantern 21 through 25, Green Lantern Corps 14 through 19, and then the one-shots, a couple different one-shots.
How was the releasing schedule? Because I didn't start reading Green Lantern regularly until read the Final Crisis Rage of the Red Lantern special. So as far as getting this stuff in issues when it came out, I wasn't doing that. So did DC have issues releasing it like they do now? You know, they'll release an epilogue issue before the final issue of a storyline. Like, did any of that stuff, did these release out of order because of delays or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe Green Lantern 25 might have been pushed back. I don't remember if it was. For some reason, that wouldn't surprise me if it was pushed back like a week or two. But I don't think. But no, I saw releasing the epilogue before the fight. That was. I still can't believe they did that. How stupid. I mean, referring to what First Lantern, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like how idiotic was that? But things were a little more together back then.
Yeah. I think the tie-ins might have had like a slightly off timing, just because like a tie-in might have come like before an issue, but it was all like right around the same time, so it was very close. And plus, they were just the tie-ins, so.
Well, and plus, they changed the Superboy one because originally it was Superboy Prime, and then they changed by the time it came out. It was said Superman Prime on it.
Right.
So.
Okay, so I'm gonna tackle this review, and this is obviously not going to be an issue by issue one because we'd be here till morning.
Let's do it.
Episode 191 D.
Yeah. Okay, so starts out in the Sinestro Core War special. This first book, and I'm only going to go into a little bit of depth on this one because this was actually like voted the comic book of the year by like numerous websites and comics type of organizations. It gave a lot of information on Green Lantern to somebody that had not been reading it. It gives a lot of background. It basically recaps everything that's been happening since Rebirth. They go through, this is where you get to see, the great scene with Sinestro. He's like, he's naked and he's got a ring that's dead, and he has to ignite the ring with, his own, fear inside him. And then, you're just showing all the Green Lanterns, the Green Lantern, universe. Kyle is Ion at the beginning of this story, and all of a sudden there's like, the Sinestro rings, start popping up, and this isn't like the first, like the start of like the whole Light War and everything like that, because a few issues back, Batman had been selected for the Sinestro Corps. I'm sure most of you remember that one image with Batman where he's got the Sinestro Corps ring. He rejected it, and then a few issues before that, the Star Sapphires, they were thinking maybe they should go in that direction also as far as rings, but this this storyline is where it really gets set into motion. So one of the bigger things, Kyle, a Sinestro Corps ring flies onto his hand during the initial attack. He gets sucked into the antimatter universe, where Sinestro is able to influence him and pull Ion out and put Parallax in. So you have Kyle Parallax. You have let's see.
Well, this is what we learned. There is such a thing as the Ion entity as well.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, we'll discuss that.
Yeah. There's a lot of there are a lot of things, a lot of details to talk about, especially like in how this begins and ends. So I think we'll just touch on the
big things.
Yeah.
And then we can delve into the the important things to talk about. But I agree with you. I was thinking the same thing, Corwin, at the same. So.
It's just that since here we are like so far out from it, I figured that everybody just kind of knows about the entities at this point. But no, you're right. We probably should have figured out that it was entities. But anyway, so you have Kyle as Parallax. You have a bunch of the Green Lanterns slaughtered by this initial attack, which was actually an assault to break out two of the prisoners that they had in the science cells. One of them being Cyborg Superman, who they had also talked about that he had seen the truth behind the New 52, and he had seen beyond the Source Wall, stuff like that. And all he wants to do is die, but he can't. And the other person that they want to break out is Superboy Prime, who at this point is about to become Superman Prime, who is stored in a science cell next to like a mini red sun with tons of Green Lantern guards guarding him all the time. The Sinestro Corps, their assault on Oa is to break out these two, and also do a lot of damage, which they do. So by the end of the Sinestro Corps War Special, Sinestro has rounded up his big three, as it were. He's got Superman, Cyborg Superman. He's got Superboy Prime, and the third one that he has is the Anti-Monitor, who apparently he became aware of when he was on Quard, which is in the Antimatter universe. So kind of makes sense. Never really put it together before that, but it makes a lot of sense. Now, in the aftermath, in the Sinestro Corps War, the whole war, you have things like the city of Ranks, which is like a sentient city in the Sinestro Corps War. You have the Children of the White Lobe, all things that were prophesized in the Blackest Night way back when in Tigers with Abin Sur. And they're attacking Mogo. That's happening in this universe. Meanwhile, in the Antimatter universe, you have Hal Jordan with a bunch of other Green Lanterns that trying to they're trying to rescue Ion and Kyle and get out of the Antimatter universe. And this is where we also get that, that scene where Hal Jordan tries to wield the Sinestro rings and doesn't have a good time of it. He doesn't do a very good job of it. They're eventually able to pull Parallax out of Kyle. Ion ends up going into Saddam Yat in this. He becomes the new Ion. The Earth Lanterns finally make it back to the main universe. There's a giant showdown on Earth where a Guardian... Well, no, let's say. So, in the final one, you have the Anti-Monitor, you have Cyborg Superman. Cyborg Superman ends up being incinerated, and he's thankful for that. Hal Jordan and Sinestro are having like a fist fight across Coast City. The people of Coast City are like shining green lights out their window to kind of inspire the Green Lanterns against the Sinestro Corps War, because it all comes down in Coast City, of course. And Superboy Prime ends up destroying the Anti-Monitor and throwing him into space, where he lands on Riot. And then the Superboy Prime is trying to take out a Guardian. The Guardian ends up dying, and in his death, the energy that's released ends up killing Superboy Prime, or so we think. Green Lanterns end up winning. They, beat Sinestro, and the key thing here was that this whole war, one of Sinestro's goals was because, like, he had seen the Green Lanterns, and he knew that they weren't going to be able to, do what was necessary. And that's why he took on fear. And, at the end of the day, the Guardians ended up having to change one of the laws in the Book of Oa to allow, the Green Lanterns to actually, kill enemies. So, Sinestro loses, but he also wins in a way, because that was one of the things that he was, trying to get about anyway. Also, in the final chapter, we finally get the reveal of all the other cores that are to come. All the colors. Well, all the colors. We don't know about white and black yet, but we know about black because of the last page. Right. And then
which is
Black as Night.
The what battery?
Oh, well, the black battery pops up. But just before that, you see Ganthet and Sade, who have been kicked out of the the Guardian Circle. They go off and they create the very first Blue Lantern ring. So there was a lot of stuff that happened, and like I'm just covering like some of the really big points. I missed a lot of stuff, which I'm sure the guys now are going to school me on. But this at the time was a pretty epic story.
This is what got me reading Green Lantern.
Yeah, we might as well. Corwin's a huge Sinestro fan, and this is one of your favorite storylines. What's period, right?
Oh, definitely.
So why don't you talk about it a little bit? What makes it your favorite?
Well, just from the beginning, you get everything from Sinestro's point of view. I mean, you get his his motivation, his drive. I mean, from the very beginning of the issue, he tells his story of how he was stripped and how the universe needs to change. And his goal is not necessarily a bad one. He wants to fix the universe, make it a better place. But, according to him, the Guardians have failed. They've been doing it for so long and they haven't gotten far enough. So he thinks he's the better person to do it. And he starts it off by creating basically his own corps. He leads his own group to do it. Yep. And the last fight, I love the last issue with the last fight because he not only takes on Hal, but he takes on Hal and Kyle at the same time.
His favorite person in the whole world, Kyle Rayner.
He's like, bring it, both of you.
Yeah, Alley Rat.
Doesn't help that he looks like Jafar. Street rat.
Right at the beginning of the special in the beginning, when Sinestro is trying to light up the ring, you see that Green Lantern symbol on his back that Kyle burned into him.
The Green Lantern number 9. When did this the first special come out?
Green Lantern what?
Green Lantern number 9 with Batman. Was it Batman Green Lantern? No, that was. Oh. When did Batman? When was he When was he recruited or attempted?
Wasn't that 19? 17, 18, 19, something like that.
Okay.
I'd have to run to the bookshelf.
Now, the reason I'm asking is because at what point did Sinestro start setting up his corps? Because there's a moment in here where Arkillo talks to Bedovian via the ring and says it's time. And
you see it.
Bedovian's not being recruited at that point. He already has a ring.
You see it from as early as
issue 17.
I would say probably it might be even earlier than that because the ring start recruiting people. Hold on.
Well, the ring recruits Batman in 17.
Okay.
Is it really that far?
It's definitely. Well, I'm looking at 17 now.
You're looking at it? Okay.
Yeah.
He had already recruited Arkillo by this point, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that, but
because Arkillo was the first one. Because Sinestro went to Arkillo himself. So I thought it was before before.
Amon is also 17.
I was thinking about when Batman put on the Green Lantern ring. That was in 9.
That was in 9.
Oh, yeah.
It says Volume 4, number... I'm looking at Arkillo's reference, and it says something about Volume 4, number 10.
All right, I got it open.
So all depends when they started with those, almost their Tales of the Sinestro Corps stuff in the back.
And the final issue of Ion had the rings flying around, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, in issue 10, we do see Arkillo get his ring. The ring comes to him.
Okay.
No Sinestro, though.
Oh, yes. Yeah, but welcome to the Sinestro Corps, it says.
Sinestro Corps. And something else that I wanted to point out, too, right before the Sinestro Corps War, you actually see a podium. Let me see. I think it's Green Lantern number 19.
20. It's the end of the Star Sapphire.
Okay, yeah, you see the lights with all the different colors.
Mm-hmm. Not all the different colors, just right.
The main.
But the ones we know about at the time. I thought it was just the ones we knew at the time. I don't have it in front of me.
We see 6 podiums, or 7 podiums, and we've got 3 colors on it.
You're talking about on Zamron,
okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
Yeah. There's 4 different podiums that are empty, so they hinted.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, what you call it? Not that long ago, I was looking back, and if you go back to Rebirth, it was probably when we did the Rebirth episode. There's a lot of mentions of the emotions, like specifically the emotions, and heavy implications of what was to come.
Well, Ganthet right out says it. I mean, as far as subtle references, yeah, but there's one point specifically towards the end where Ganthet basically flat out says it.
Well, it's not even at the end. It's in the one shot. In the one shot, he and Cyborg Superman are talking, and they literally and their exchange. They mention all the other cores of. I mean, all the other part of the emotion, all the cores of the spectrum. Because Cyborg Superman says to him, without life there will be no fear or avarice or hate, and Ganthet replies, without life there is also no hope or compassion.
Well, we're talking about Rebirth. In Rebirth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ganthet flat out mentions almost word for word mentions the emotional spectrum. And there's Sinestro core symbols all over that book too.
Oh yeah.
There was, I mean, I might be skipping. I have a feeling we'll kind of be playing like hopscotch all around this storyline. But there was one of the things that happened in this book that we talked about on the show for a long time. What Hal's father said when Hal got the whole vision of his father and was being tapped by fear. Remember that?
Yeah.
Did we ever figure out what he actually said?
Mm-mm.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
We were never told.
No, and I think it was the end of the first Lantern story where he talks to his father.
I think so.
In the Dead Zone.
I think so. I think the only payoff we got with Hal though was what question he was going to ask Sinestro.
Sinestro.
Yeah, but Hal says something like he makes a reference to the fact that it doesn't really matter what his father said because he knew basically he wouldn't have been afraid,
right,
or something. He said something to that effect. So it's almost like Hal making peace with the fact that it doesn't really matter what whatever his last words were at the end of the day, to him anyway.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So so now you have the Sinestro Corps War, and I guess like the way to really look at this is when Johns took over Green Lantern with Rebirth, like he very clearly had a plan, like at least up until Blackest Night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Sinestro Corps War is probably like the second act in a 3-act, kind of epic.
Well, I would say the stuff between Sinestro Corps War and Blackest Night are kind of like an act or like half of an act to themselves, just because of the introduction of the Blue Lanterns and the Red Lanterns and Larfleeze and all that stuff.
Yeah, but you have to take Rebirth as the first act.
Yeah, and I think Johns has kind of mentioned that. I think he kind of mentioned that in a way that, even though it kind of got stretched out a little when he got to like the first Lantern thing too, about how they kind of almost made that, how everything was tied around the second Rebirth, even though actually what the title of the Sinestro Corps one shot mentions what second Rebirth, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the title isn't the title of the second Rebirth or second
Well, Sinestro, he does mention that this is our Rebirth.
Right, and it's called the second Rebirth. But I think John's reference to the fact that it was almost like a three act structure, and Rebirth I think was the first, Sinestro Corps was the second, and Blackest Night was the third.
Yeah.
Which is maybe why afterwards he started running out of steam.
Yeah, like you could tell that, like for a long time he had been setting up the Guardians, to take a fall.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like after Blackest Night, it's like, okay, well, I guess I should probably close up some mysteries and start taking them out, or start setting them up to be taken out.
Well, it didn't help that it went from 2 books to 4. Looking at this Sinestro Corps War and its focused structure with just 2 books, it was, it was perfect. When you added 2 other books, you're basically stretching the line when they couldn't really keep the quality going.
Well, I think stretching the line, with the different books, like because if you look at it right now, you have New Guardians and Red Lanterns are the good books. Like in currently, those are the 2 that are telling the good stories, instead of Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps. So, I mean, like, to me, like, that shows me that those books can stand on their own. The problem was that because they had these 4 books, they felt that it was necessary to include them all in the crossover when, like, you could have told the first, like the first Lantern or, War of the Green Lantern Corps. And then those books, if they had just been on their own, doing their own thing, and didn't get dragged in, well, for one thing, they might have actually had a chance to develop their stories a little bit better, but then also the actual stories would be a little bit shorter, and they, it wouldn't be drawn out in that respect. But I think 4 books is not necessarily a detriment, but 4 books that you feel the need to cross over everything all the time with, that's where the issue arises.
Wasn't the success of Sinestro Corps War not so much the crossover itself, but the fact that it was basically like a stealth release? Like they didn't hype it up too extreme at all?
No, the fact was that it was a very contained epic. It crosses over between Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps, but the stories are, like, they're actually separate enough that you could conceivably read one or the other, and still get a story out of it. But by reading them both, because everybody was reading them both, you get this really great story, and it just crossed over with these 2 books. This is actually, like, this particular storyline probably had a tremendous amount to do with later on DC doing their micro crossovers. Because if you remember, like, basically this was something that had rarely ever, if ever, done. I'm sure it was done, but it was not done often. And it was never done, like, this well. The Sinestro Corps War, doing a crossover with just 2 books, and doing it this well, like, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, we're crossing Superman over with, I don't know, Justice League Dark or something like that for 3 issues. Like, when we had that stupid crossover with, like, Stormwatch and Red Lanterns and things like that, like, that stuff was all awful. But the idea behind it, to do, like, miniature, crossovers like that, like, I think that they saw the success of this and they wanted to try and recapture it.
But I think kind of where, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think kind of where part of what Chad, I think what I assume Chad was talking about is correct from the point of view that it certainly wasn't being as heavily hyped and heavily promoted, let's say, as obviously the countdown to Blackest Night was.
Right.
That the success of Sinestro Corps, as far as the fact that the fact that it brought in a bigger audience than they kind of suspected, and the fact that it kind of brought that, yes, in a way it was not 100% surprising, especially as you got to the end when it related to Earth and Superman and all. You had a lot of other characters that came in towards the end when the battle shifted to Earth, but it just had more of a kind of universal appeal, I think, than probably they originally thought, or certainly based on the hype level and the promotion level that they expected it to have. So it kind of helped.
Yeah, I gotcha. I see.
Yeah.
So you're saying that because they didn't hype it up, expectations were not overly, stretched. So then when it was good, everybody was like, "Oh, wow, that was really good," and it wasn't overhyped.
I think so. I think the fact that it's not like there wasn't a huge build. There wasn't a huge build up for it. It wasn't like basically what we got at the end. At the end of the Sinestro Corps War, basically was letting you know that it was an after credit scene letting you know that 2 years down the road you're going to have this big event, and basically what it was going to be about already. That Sinestro Corps War wasn't as heavily promoted. It was, you kind of knew if you were a regular Green Lantern reader that something like this was going to happen, since you saw Sinestro not putting the band back together, but putting a band together. That it was just a. Go ahead, Chuck. Go ahead, Corin.
Well, would you call Blackest Night a success? The event itself.
Yeah.
The
And they gave
miniseries.
us.
Absolutely.
Did you say the miniseries itself?
Yeah, the miniseries itself.
I would say it's a success, but it probably peaked before the end of it. I would say I think the build up to Blackest Night was a huge success. I think the first few issues of the actual miniseries were a huge success. I actually liked most of the issues, certainly the Green Lantern issues of Blackest Night. There seemed to, just based on reading what people were saying at the time, I think the first real noticeable signs of discontent maybe with Jeff Johns started popping up towards the end of Blackest Night based on what I remember reading. I liked Blackest Night, but of course the hype for Blackest Night was so big that it was going to be hard to meet meet everybody's expectations. I would say overall it was a success because when we do the Johns retrospective, I'll go into it more. But I think everything from Sinestro Corps War through at least the build-up, if not the actual finale of Blackest Night, was like the pinnacle of Jeff Johns and the golden age of Jeff Johns. And everything after that, it kind of dropped off, and everything else was good and building up to it. But I think it was a success. I think, and I assume you do, or you're not sure?
Oh yeah, I definitely do. And the thing is, they did hype the hell out of it too. So, expectations were set high. I think it delivered. I mean, I think that was the last greatest crossover that DC had. Event period.
Yeah, I mean, I think I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good, and it was really, really good to see not just Hal, but and not just the Green Lantern Corps, but the whole emotional spectrum that Johns had invested so much effort into building. And I know some people out there are not going to like me saying that because a lot of people just have this mad, crazy hate for the emotional spectrum. But I think that putting the lanterns, and making what happens to them so important to the entire DC universe was one of the best things about the Jeff Johns run. That it was that's what made Green Lantern so relevant and helped make him so popular. So anything that does that again is, with the announcement of the God's Head thing with the New Gods, even though of course the New Gods are probably not the best choice of people to throw in if you're looking for popularity or interest. But just the idea that possibly, the emotional spectrum and Green Lantern once again are going to be like the center of something really that could affect the DC universe as a whole. That's a plus.
Yeah. Blackest Night was absolutely like a success in terms of how many comics they sold and how much money they made. And then, when you look at it from the point of view that it crossed over with a lot of superheroes across the DC universe, but not like in most of the actual books. Like they had like the miniseries, so that if you wanted to avoid Blackest Night, and still read Superman, you could. Like stuff like that, I think is somewhat reader friendly. But then really, if you didn't want to read any of that stuff, then Blackest Night and like Green Lantern were, I would say enough. Yeah, definitely enough. I will say that from the beginning of Blackest Night to the end of Blackest Night, I think you have a very good story. I think the stuff that spun out of Blackest Night was like, oh, let me put it to you this way. With Sinestro Corps War, the stuff that spun out of Sinestro Corps War was amazing. Like you had so many like concepts and story ideas to play with now. I mean, he created, the rest of the emotional spectrum in like, in one stroke. And we got it slowly over time, but we knew that it was coming. And you had the Black Lantern battery, and, that led to, what do you call it? Like, the little pieces of people going to investigate and, stuff like that. There was so much, like, rich material that came out of the Sinestro Corps War. Whereas with Blackest Night, I feel like, very, very little, useful, story ideas came out of Blackest Night. You had
Brightest Day.
You had a bunch of heroes, come back to life, and okay, all those heroes went and got to do something. They went their own way. You had the whole dead man concept in Brightest Day, which was interesting and definitely an interesting journey.
Well, Aquaman would probably be the breakout success and spinoff of Blackest Night. As far as his popularity gaining enough to where he stars in Brightest Day and then the New 52 reboots and he gets his own title. I don't think he would have gotten his own title if people weren't so excited about seeing a Black Lantern, Aquaman, and Blackest Night, and then seeing that story unfold in Brightest Day.
True, but Jeff Johns kind of took it upon himself to try to rehabilitate Aquaman, and if Jeff Johns wasn't writing Aquaman, he wouldn't have been nearly as popular.
Yeah.
But Brightest Day, there were some things I liked about Brightest Day, and like where they were going with Swamp Thing could have been cool, but of course, unfortunately, the whole friggin' Flashpoint and the reboot into the New 52. Pretty much almost all of so much of Brightest Day got wiped out.
Yeah.
And the relevance of it. I mean, so we don't entirely know if there could have been some relatively important or truly relevant results from Brightest Day, and I did like the Green Lantern stories from Brightest Day. I mean, I liked figuring whether it was going to be Krona, whether it was going to be Appa, all these who it was going to be, and I kind of liked the build up towards that, but War of the Green Lanterns kind of like sabotage, shot that in the foot a little. So
yeah.
But yes, Jim's basic point is 100% accurate. That after Sinestro Corps, there were a lot of questions, things you didn't know where the pieces were going to fall, what the puzzle was going to look like, but yet you kind of knew what the end game was, where they were building, because they already tell you here's the big event in 2 years that's coming, and so you had to wait to see how the pieces fell into place and where the information you've already gotten, where it all fits in there and how it affects it or doesn't.
Well, what I really love. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Corin.
I was going to say what I really loved is post-Sinestro Corps War, both books were really intertwined. I mean, Johns and Tomasi really worked together, and both books really just seemed like one. You really felt the real family between the two books.
That's true.
Yeah, but without actually crossing over.
Crossing over, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, because you had. That's where we got the whole Mother Mercy story, and Miri the Star Sapphire.
Yep.
Ash.
That was that was one of the best stories that's ever come out of Green Lantern Corps.
And of course, then you had you had Rage of the Red Lanterns.
Oh.
Which was
the only highlight of
Final Crisis.
Final Crisis.
Yes, I meant the whole storyline, not just the one shot. But you were correct. Final Crisis was a friggin' disaster. But but the Rage of the Red Lanterns was it was a good storyline onto itself. But you had the Red Lantern Corps. You had the intro of the Red Lantern Corps. You had the Blue Lantern Corps. You had the
Sins of the Star Sapphires.
That's true too. In Corps.
Well, that's Mary. You mentioned that.
Yep, Mary.
Larfleeze, Agent Orange.
Yep, that was a really good storyline too. Back when Larfleeze was incredibly, if he wasn't scary, he was intimidating.
Would you say that this is the start of the climb for Green Lantern? I mean, I know that John's coming on and doing the whole rebirth thing was good, and it got people reinvigorated and interested. But it wasn't until this hit and was so popular that then people started paying more attention to it, and Sinestro Corps more than Rebirth is the kind of the apex of the start of the climb for people being interested.
Yes.
This is the start. Yes.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't reading DC before this.
It was.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. Okay, Jim.
Oh, this also started the shirts.
That's true. Yeah, once the reveal came out about the other cores, and even our old friend Aroba Silver, they came out with their first rings for the other cores relatively quickly, I think, after the other cores were revealed in this issue 25 in the Green Lantern 25.
Yeah. Yeah. Once 25 hit, like, the merchandising, exploded. Not so much from DC because they're slow to capitalize, but at least with the T-shirts, you know, between people wanting to find out, about the different cores, like when you have 7 different cores, each one dedicated to a different emotion. I mean, like, we all feel emotions, and every one of us, tends to feel one more than another. So, like, now all of a sudden you have a book that's speaking to you personally, or, the merchandise alone, it's just, this is absolutely where, Green Lantern just exploded in popularity.
And Corwin, I know we got your side of why you like this, but maybe more specifically, you said this is where you started reading DC. Period. What was the hype? What was the what were people saying that made you go, oh, I guess I'll check it out? Because it had to have been more of, this is cool, read this.
It was Green Lantern 25. The whole prophecy and the War of Light and all the colors that really caught my interest.
And plus, you have those two two-page spreads back to back, which are pretty impressive. When you see all the batteries and you see the first hints, and then you have the War of Light battle in the centerpiece of the issue.
Oh, I've got prints of those.
Yep, I do too.
Yeah, those are amazing.
And this is where a lot of the artists started being really heavily showcased, right? They were there before, but as far as showing their chops, like Yvonne Hayes and Ethan Van Sciver. I mean, Van Sciver doing the Sinestro core, as far as just designing various creatures, that's pretty epic. The way they look.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the other thing, like, if people didn't get, connected by Green Lantern 25, the Sinestro Core War special, like I said, like, that was voted, like, that was voted the best comic by, like, so many. I think CGS might have, had it as their best of the year. The issue was so good, and, like, for one thing, they pulled in a Superman villain. They pulled in Cyborg Superman. They pulled in what do you call it?
Anti-Monitor.
Yeah, that was such a huge reveal at the time. I mean, that was...
Yeah, like, that was, like, the oh shit moment. And I think this issue actually had, like, a couple of oh shit moments.
Yeah, that's what I was going to touch upon at some point, because to me, to me anyway, I think this is Jeff Johns' single best issue. The one shot was the single best issue that it's arguably, anyway, at least to me it is, the single best issue he ever did during his run as Green Lantern. And I like what he did on Rebirth for the most part, too. But this issue, for that reason, there are so many things in the one shot that were, I mean, you get, as we kind of alluded to earlier in the episode, you have the reveal that Ion is in Kyle, that Ion is the entity inside of Kyle, that Parallax isn't just by himself, basically. That you have that reveal. You have the kind of the shocking moment when Kyle is infected by Parallax. You do have that. You do have the reveal of that the Anti-Monitor is the guardian of the Sinestro Corps. That, I mean, that one came out of complete left field at the time. He may not have been 100% healed as you get not constant, but you get many references to throughout the one shots and everything, and like the Superboy Prime one and everything, that he wasn't 100% back to snuff yet, which is part of the reason why Superboy Prime was able to break through his armor and take him out also, and also how Necron was able to capture him in the Black Battery. But there's just there's even though at the time we didn't see it all, again, there were hints like we mentioned before even in Rebirth about the spectrum. But there are so many direct there's a direct reference to the emotional spectrum in the one shot, about the cold wave across the emotional spectrum. The fact that, like I mentioned, all the other cores are mentioned by name, even though we don't know their cores yet. They're all now we look back and go, I mean, so there's just so many things in this one issue, and just even the way they kind of tease at the Ion Kyle reveal. The idea that, like when the Sinestro Corps ring is going, like Ion has regained consciousness, but it's irrelevant because Kyle Rayner must be delivered. The first kind of hint that they're not one and the same. Just like later on in another issue when the Guardians make clear that to the Lost Lanterns that your goal is to bring back Ion, not really to bring back Kyle. Given the choice, if they're not together anymore, bring back Ion. We don't really care much about Kyle. So yeah, there's just so much stuff in this one. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the storyline too. We could still talk, but about this one issue, I think this might be the most perfect, or the closest thing to perfect, Jeff Johns did during his entire run.
Well, the one thing is that with this issue, you do get like a perfect recap and introduction to Green Lantern. So you could never have picked up a Green Lantern comic before, or even just seen him on the Justice League, the cartoon, and read this, and you would get the background that you need.
Mm-hmm.
That works as a pro and a con, because if you already knew everything, then it's kind of you kind of get bogged down with all that stuff. So I would say if you're a new reader, then the Sinestro Corps War Special is the best. Like, that's the best issue in Jeff Johns' run. If you are familiar enough with Green Lantern that you don't need that, then I think Green Lantern 25 is the best issue.
But they're both good because even in Green Lantern 25, there's a lot of, even besides that reveal of the emotional spectrum and the fact that Ganthet and Sade go off at the end, you have one Guardian sacrificing themselves to basically send Superboy Prime off into the multiverse or wherever. You have the other Guardian fighting the Anti-Monitor, who is going to become Scar because she basically dies, even though we don't know it at the time.
The Guardians fighting Antimatter in the first place because they make a reference to the fact that in Crisis they were out of the picture, but now we're here.
Yep.
Let me ask, when Sinestro rips Ion out of Kyle, because I keep reading, I wasn't reading at the time. Did anybody else think, how the hell does Sinestro know this?
No, not at all.
Okay.
You would figure if anybody's gonna know,
well, yeah,
then it would be the guy that talks to Parallax.
I guess
that's true too. And besides, you have to. This is the thing that kind of gets interesting if you really, again, you go back and you try to put the pieces together to some of these things, because Jeff Johns has done, obviously we all know that he's done retcons, and some of them make sense and some of them. So the question really becomes, where was Ion to begin with? Where was Ion all along before Kyle first got him? Was he like in the green power battery before Hal absorbed it, and then he kind of like flew off somewhere? Or where was he before then? So then, but Sinestro would probably know about it, yes, just from his conversations with Parallax, because obviously he and Parallax had already become best buds when they were both trapped inside the Green Lantern Central Power Battery alone.
It's like, listen, if you ever get out, be on the lookout for my brother.
Well, one of the biggest things, it's a huge storyline. There are tons of big things, but one of the big things is the reveal that essentially Sinestro killed Kyle's mother.
Yes, that was another relatively shocking moment, because that just wears Kyle down enough where he's susceptible to Parallax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though why he has any power as Parallax is another story altogether. He doesn't have a ring. He has nothing. He's powerless. So why would he even be able to make constructs? He has no green power at all.
Well, that's because he's like completely broken down. So it's purely Parallax using him as a host.
Right, but he has no ties to green energy at the time.
Well, yeah, like he should not have been in a green costume.
Right, because
or making green constructs.
Yeah,
what?
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Because they kind of, and even though, to be fair, this is again one of those things that's kind of evolved, and I think they kind of touched upon it a little maybe in the scripting, the original script treatment for Rebirth and stuff too. But the idea that Parallax doesn't, he corrupts you, but he basically uses your own power. So if you don't have a lot of power, he might reinforce some of your motives or your, for lack of a better way of describing it, in a way, your will to do something bad. But the reality is, if you don't have power, he doesn't give you the power. So I mean, Hal was powerful with Parallax because he'd absorbed the friggin' central power battery, and he took the knowledge from the Guardians with it. That's why he was able to do what he did, like not because just because he had Parallax in him. So Kyle had nothing at the time. He didn't have his ring on. He didn't have any green energy left. So the mere fact that he was able to, basically function even as a Green Lantern possessed by Parallax, let alone, on a level, that was something that even when it was going on, that didn't kind of make any sense to me. But
unless it was the fact that since Jade had given him her power back, which enabled him to take on Ion, maybe when Ion left him, he still had that trace amount of power, and Parallax amplified it.
It's the closest thing to
I definitely think that Parallax, is providing some power one way or another, and especially if Parallax is the one just controlling, because all we've seen before this is Hal Jordan, who was fighting it, and he had not given complete control over to Parallax.
Yeah, the entities definitely provide power. Of what, no matter how it's manifested, it's absolutely they do, because I mean, Ion's supposed to,
energy.
yeah,
right. But when you think about it, the thing that makes Parallax different is the fact that basically all the other entities seem to magnify the emotion that they represent, and they seem to channel that same energy, that same color, whether it's a Dara, whether it's the Butcher, Predator, it doesn't matter. Parallax is the only one that seems to, for the most part, gravitate towards the greens.
Maybe because of the amount of
corrupting fact.
Yeah, the amount of time he spent in the central power battery might have affected him.
But true, but I don't know. It just with Hal it would make sense, even when he was in Hal the second time, because Hal still had his Green Lantern ring on that time. Jim's explanation is as good as any, because they've never really given us one. I mean,
it's magic.
Yeah.
Was this storyline also the first time we heard about Mogo directing the rings, being the one who directs the rings? Because they reference it in the storyline like it's a big deal.
I don't remember if it was this one or if they did that like earlier on in like the beginning of the core.
Because the amount of emphasis they place on it in several different places in the storyline makes me think it's the first time we've heard of it.
Well, it could also just be the relevance.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but
because of how important raising the stakes in case anything happens. Anything happens to Mogo. But I think Jim could be right. It could have been like when Hal, like early on in the Green Lantern series, when Hal went back to visit Kilowog, like on Oa, and all the rings are shooting out left and right. And that's when Hal finds out for the first time that all the Guardians, pretty much Ganthet has got all the Guardians. He's gotten the band back together. That the Guardians are now fully grown and functional again. It's not just Ganthet. So it could have been, possibly they might have been referenced in that issue. I have a panel from that issue somewhere. I just don't know if they actually mention it.
Even though we're giving a lot of credit. I was going to say, even though we're giving a lot of credit to Johns, I mean, Ethan Van Sciver on that Sinestro Corps special, I mean, he killed that art. That is art is gorgeous in that book.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And one of the things about the power, like we were talking about with the power, like with Parallax and anything, there's also several points in here where Sinestro breaks into a Green Lantern transmission. Like basically, projects his own image through the Green Lantern ring.
You would think that would not be possible,
mm-hmm.
But, like, for one thing, Sinestro at this point has used both rings, and they would call him the great. He was the greatest of all the Green Lanterns. And now flash forward to now, where Kyle, has using a green ring, he was able to harness the emotions and contact the other new Guardians across rings.
Right. What I'm talking about at the time this was coming out, that was probably a red flag to a couple of people.
I don't think that they had really reinforced yet that you couldn't do that.
Okay.
So I think that's more like the thing where, like, when they started reinforcing it, somebody could have gone back and looked at this and said, "Hey, wait a second."
Yeah.
All right. So for the event itself, what other things do we want to point out? Let me flip through the special. Finish that issue. Ivan Rice as well. I think he's definitely an artist that had come into his own,
Mm-hmm.
and he definitely rates as one of my favorite artists right now. I mean, people make a big deal out of Jim Lee and stuff like that, but you put Ivan Rice on a book, and I'm going to pay attention to it more than I would Jim Lee.
Yeah, he's my favorite artist, period, right now. Everything he touches is basically gold.
Not Billy Tan, Chad?
Yvonne Ice.
Yvonne Hayes.
Yeah.
Hayes. There we go.
Yvonne Drago.
I will give credit. Who was it? Gleason that was doing art for Core at the time. I gotta give it up to Gleason though, because for instance, when the Core was going up against Ranks and Sodom Yat blew up Ranks, and they're all torn and tattered and blood splattered and stuff. I mean, he made those action scenes just explode. The way everybody had tears on their uniform and looked beaten down. I mean, it was really good.
Yeah.
Even the destruction in what issue is this? 14. I mean, the opening page is the Sinestro Corps in some kind of ship with a bunch of dead Green Lantern bodies all around it. I mean, Tomasi did some excellent art on this as well.
Now, I vaguely remember something, and I guess I didn't read these issues close enough if it did happen in this. But wasn't there something somewhere said that Kyle could no longer host Ion because he had parallax in him?
I think it was that.
Yes.
I don't think. Yeah, but was it in the series? I thought it was after. Was it in the one shot? Was it in like the Ion one shot when he goes to talk to Sodom Yat?
It might be. I'm looking at the Tales of the Core thing right now.
And remember, Yat is part of the prophecy. He was supposed to be the super soldier, super Green Lantern as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the Guardians always had it in their plans for him to receive Ion, and because of his biology, it made him perfect as well.
Right, just not as soon as they ended up giving it to him. They kind of were forced to give it to him earlier than they wanted to. But they kind of hinted that too in the storyline too. It's like, don't you know this? You do know there's a Green Lantern named Sodom Yat. It's like, really? It's like because since they talk about the prophecy, the Blackest Night prophecy so much, especially early on in like the one shot and everything, just about what it means and that. Back when Sodom Yat was cool and did stuff. And our Kilo versus Kilowog was pretty cool the first time.
That's exactly where I was going to go next.
Yeah. Go ahead, go for it. I just remember when I was flipping through the second half of the storyline. It's like that kind of was a nice trip down memory lane too, because that's one of those things you knew you were building towards, because our Kilo was essentially the Kilowog of the Sinestro Corps, so you knew there was going to have to be a one-on-one battle between the two of them.
Sorry. When Kyle's talking to the Guardians and that Ion thing, what about Jade? What was all that about telling me her death helped make me Ion? Her death was unfortunate and unplanned. The energies she returned to you enabled you to serve as the temporary host for Ion. So evidently he wasn't able to be a host until the energies she returned to him were given to him.
I remember that, but I thought that there was also something else that said that now he was like
ineligible.
Yeah, like contaminated.
They did say something like that. I just don't remember when it was, but they did say that. They did say he was but at least as far as the Guardians were concerned, we don't know if this is like, if Ion has a say in it, we don't know if that would be the case. But the Guardians make it clear from their point of view that he's no longer eligible, if you will, for lack of a better.
Well, that's kind of how it was at the beginning, because even when the Sinestro Corps ring found Batman, it left him because it sensed the presence that he used to have a Green Lantern ring, or he wore a Green Lantern ring.
Well, true, but it's not like Parallax didn't go into Kyle because Ion had been there first.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't work the other way around.
Yeah, that was the thing that didn't make any sense to me. If that was the case.
Or maybe the Guardians just wouldn't allow it.
Maybe it's a trust thing too. maybe simply it comes down to once you've given into fear that much and been that they wouldn't trust you again, or they trust your willpower enough. At least that's the one thing. A lot of people try to talk, especially as the story as the years went by, about Jeff Johns being inconsistent about stuff, and then he was inconsistent about some things. But at least he was always consistent that he didn't have Hal host Ion.
You,
then he would
you,
have.
you guys think that was an editorial thing? They tweak certain things, made him tweak certain things, or do you think he had pretty much had free reign?
I think he had free reign, at least certainly as time went on. I think he had free reign. I just think I think his attention just got dragged into different areas, especially as his role in DC expanded. I think just like the 10 Laws of the New Guardians, which we only got a couple of, and then we never heard about it again. Just like Hal's Blue Lantern ring, which is still floating away somewhere in space that somebody got.
Yeah.
So there are things that there are storylines that he began that he never came back to, and I don't necessarily think that it was editorial. I just think when we moved on to other things, or he was originally planning on going in one direction and then he switched gears. It's possible they could have influenced him a little. Maybe Blackest Night, or the setup for Blackest Night, just was so relevant now to DC as a whole that maybe that, even if it wasn't explicitly said, maybe he just kind of like veered off a little bit of his plans, and that's why like the rest of the New Guardians laws were never touched upon, or we never found, they were never revealed.
Yeah. I think at the beginning he had pretty much free reign because he was only, really only in the Green Lantern universe. In fact, I think even with this, with the Sinestro Corps War, the only tie-in that wasn't in Green Lantern or Green Lantern Corps was in Blue Beetle.
Yeah, I remember that one too. I have it.
Yeah, like, everything was very condensed. But actually, right after this, like, there was definitely something that was, editorially driven. The whole, the Green Lantern, the Justice ones, cannot think of who they are now. I've blocked them out. I hate them so much. The robots.
Green Lantern.
Oh, yeah, the Alpha Lantern.
The robot.
You mean the Alpha Lantern?
Yeah, the Alpha Lanterns.
Oh.
Yeah. That was editorial because Morrison. Yeah, Grant Morrison, like, wanted to use those in, like, Final Crisis.
Right.
So he came up with them.
And then barely used them to begin with.
Yeah. And then Johns just kind of like stuck with them, But
I think that was Tomasi actually ran with them more than Johns did.
I was going to say that was much more in core. The Alpha Lanterns were much more of a factor in core than. But still, I agree with you. As a whole, that was something that, yes, that may have been kind of forced on the Green Lantern universe as a whole, maybe because of that. But yeah, they were pretty shitty.
Then later on, like with Blackest Night, like there were definitely things that were thrown in here and there that, it's not so much that it was, DC saying, trying to bind his hands, but they were just, kind of like, okay, I want you to now add this and now throw this in, and I wonder how much control Johns actually had over which, members of the DC universe were going to get, the colored rings that they were going to get. Like things like that, I would wonder.
I would still think he had a lot of say in it, though. I think because he was the architect of something that was already so successful in Sinestro Corps War. Also because Infinite Crisis was pretty well received, and he was kind of the architect of that. I'm not saying they didn't influence him or didn't they kind of you want to give Superman this ring, right? Wink, wink. That stuff probably. There's no doubt probably. Somebody must have done some things like that, but I don't necessarily know how much it really diverged from what his original plan or concept was. But I still think,
yeah, I agree. I'm just throwing it out there that like later on, like right now, like he had free reign to do anything that he wanted in the Green Lantern universe. Then later on, Blackest Night and beyond. as soon as like he started like touching other people's toys, basically, like that's when he might have had some more editorial influence.
So one of the biggest shifts in the story is, of course, the 10 laws, and the first of which allowed lethal force for the Lanterns to use lethal force, which started turning the tide of the war, which then brought the Sinestro Corps to Earth when everybody thought they were going to Oa. And we get the big reveal, of course, Superboy Prime or Superman Prime, Cyborg Superman. I mean, they brought the whole Sinestro Corps to Earth to throw down.
Yeah.
I don't think that Superboy Prime should have been able to take out the Anti-Monitor.
Well, in his weakened state, maybe. I mean, because didn't the exact same thing happen with, like, Supergirl? When Anti-Monitor was weakened in Crisis? He wasn't at full capacity. And, I mean, the sun had come up and he was soaking in the rays, and then bam.
I don't know. I guess I kind of have issues with how powerful they chose to make Superboy Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Which goes back, I assume, to at least Infinite Crisis, right? Because he pretty much beat the shit out of everybody in Infinite Crisis.
And Crisis, Legion of Three Worlds in Final Crisis.
Yeah. It's like the whole batch of it. It's just like he shouldn't have been that powerful. Like I don't think Superboy Prime should ever have been more powerful than Superman or Earth 1 Superman. Like, Earth 1 Superman should really just have been, like, the most powerful Superman around. Like, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my whole reasoning for moving the story along to that point was to get to the Sodom Yat Superboy fight, because that was probably one of my favorite parts of the whole event.
Yeah, he gets infected with lead, which affects him from then on, right?
At least until now, because I don't think we have an explanation for that.
Brainiac 5 came back and gave him anti-lead serum.
That was a cool fight, though. That was a really good fight between him and Superboy Prime. But the first law, I mean, the lethal force, that was critical, and that was obviously as part of Sinestro's plan all along. That he makes it clear that before that point, the Green Lanterns were just basically an empty threat. He kind of says that, I think, later on when he's talking I think he's talking to Hal at one point. He directly says that up until this. Is it to Kyle?
Yeah, that was when he was like just about to put Parallax into him. And, they're gonna come after you. So like the Green Lanterns, that's an empty threat because they can't kill.
That's true, but I thought at some other point he referenced it specifically, making it crystal clear about after the fact that was why he did it, but now the universe will fear you.
Oh,
now the universe will actually fear. Yeah, it's part of his whole plan.
Yeah.
Which, of course, it's one of those interesting things about Sinestro's characters. Like, in a way, he's trying to better the Green Lantern Corps, but what exactly does that? What does that do for you if you're like? And I always think of Arkillo, because Arkillo's like this loyal puppy. It's like he's so loyal to Sinestro, but he keeps getting screwed over because Sinestro just does whatever he wants, and Arkillo's left holding the bag. It's like, well, do you want me to do this? I mean, this is what you told me to do, and then you turn around and you go do something different, and then you come back and I'm pissed for it, and then you kick my ass, and then I go back and follow you again.
Well, it all goes back to Abin Sur and his belief in the prophecy of the Blackest Night, which is what Sinestro was trying to prevent or prepare for.
Which is, yeah, I agree with that. I'm just talking. I'm also thinking even now that Sinestro kind of just changes gears at the drop of a hat sometimes about what the Sinestro Corps should be doing, and Arkillo is just like, he's the most loyal. That was one of the, and we'll get to this more in like the. Well, actually, at this point, let's just say we would have already gotten to it. So this is going to be redundant to you listeners now. That the fact that when Sinestro is that kind of in Sinestro Corps 1, in Sinestro 1, when he's dealing with Arkillo for the first time, basically since the Wrath of the First Lantern and everything, it's like he kind of feels sorry in a way for Arkillo, and he understands why Arkillo's giving him so much hell, because Arkillo is the most loyal of his soldiers. So he would kind of expect that to happen. It's just one of those catch-22s. It's like, yeah, I know I understand his point of view, but that still doesn't mean I'm not going to make him do what I want him to do.
The Sodom Yat and Prime fight is epic without question. But one of my favorite fights is when Hal, Kyle, and Sinestro are all depowered and fighting on the rooftops.
Oh yeah.
That's just it's just there's no power. It's just punches and kicks and stuff being thrown. I think that's epic. But the only thing I didn't like about this story, and it has nothing to do. I think it was just a creative decision because there's way too much happening in this storyline. But when the Anti-Monitor shows up, I kind of feel like that should have been a bigger deal. You know what I mean? Not necessarily to the Green Lanterns or anybody, but to like the rest of the heroes that are participating in this story. Like whether it be Superman or Batman or somebody shows up and it's just like, holy crap. Like somebody either recognizes him or something.
But weren't most people not supposed to remember Infinite Crisis? I mean, not Infinite Crisis, Crisis. I thought there were only a few characters that were supposed to remember what happened in Crisis. Or was that a different one?
They most of them remember that there was a crisis, but only a handful remembered like a lot of the
details.
Specifics. Yeah.
Well, I thought it wasn't until Infinite Crisis that people started remembering. Because they
did use his armor or his body or whatever and to try to power the device.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if people remembered after that or if it was just the kind of thing where like now new changes had happened and they just again remembered that there was a fight with Infinite Crisis. I don't know.
I mean, we know because obviously it's done because we would remember who he is and the importance of him. Plus the characters, the Alex Luthor-led group over there, they all know who the Anti-Monitor is. So it's kind of.
I mean, yeah, but I just kind of feel like that when he comes out of the ship and lands in the bay, somebody, whoever, I don't give a crap who, should have been like, holy crap, Anti-Monitor is standing on Earth right now. This is real bad.
Well, it's either John or Guy. They recognize him.
Yeah.
When they're all escaping from Quard, and they realize that the Anti-Monitor is the guardian of the Sinestro Corps. It's like, he's their guardian. Oh, great.
I mean, he is doing cool stuff. Like there's a point, and I'll just read it here. Time to tap into the raw positive matter of this world and those parallel worlds born from it. I will transform its energies into a wall of antimatter and ravage the surface of this planet. So he starts creating antimatter walls and stuff like that. So that's cool. But wait, are the skies red? I need to double check that. That'd be cool. Yeah.
Everything's white.
Yeah.
We also had the Sinestro-Sornik confrontation for the first time.
It's not revealed till later that he's her or she's his daughter, right?
Yes, that's
correct.
True. Yeah, it's not. Yep. The only thing that comes of this is just the fact that again part of Sinestro's plan is that basically that she quote unquote beats him, so Korogor rallies around her. That she's the new champion of Korogor.
But that was his purpose, right?
That's what I said. Yeah. That's what I said. That's the point. But yeah, that was the first meeting between those two before we knew how relevant that the characters and how interrelated the characters were.
What about the brief break in action during the Superboy and Ion fight, where we get the backstory of the alien that comes to Daxam?
Which is kind of cool because they still referenced. I mean, that's something they didn't throw away. That's something that Sodom Yat kind of referenced again at some point.
It was a defining moment for him, definitely.
Yeah, since the Daxamites are so narrow-minded and xenophobic. Yeah, you can just imagine how traumatic that would be in general. What if it wasn't even a sentient being? What if it was just like a dog or something that you found, or a pet, or something that you took care of and you nursed back to health and you loved it and you had this bond with it, and then somebody who you really care about just finds it and just kills it. I mean, jeez. I mean, it's horrible. Yeah, and puts it in your bedroom. Let this be a lesson to you. Oy.
The whole Hank Henshaw thing, where the Manhunters find him later and revive him.
Yeah, so sad.
With a tear in his eyes all the time. I want to die, but yet... That's one of the things I actually did like when he was talking to the Anti-Monitor. When he had the Hank Henshaw Anti-Monitor moments when they're having their conversation about their plans, and the Anti-Monitor kind of basically reaffirms his pledge that basically when everything's said and done, I'll do what everybody else couldn't do, is I'll kill you. And he goes, thank you.
How much time did you guys spend poring over the War of Light page and the page before it, just like looking for like clues and stuff like that was going to happen?
Lots. Spent a lot at the time. I mean, even though going back to the Jeff Johns kind of like changing gears in midstream, there are some things about what he shows you that obviously never really came to fruition, or he changed them, like the human hands clutching the orange battery.
I figured that was Hal.
But it could have been, but based on the description, you wouldn't think it would be. It talks about the light will be discovered and manipulated by a being whose greed knows no bounds. Now, obviously, the description now we know will fit Larfleeze, but why would they show a fate like a human who you can't see who it is, holding the battery when it just seemed odd to me. It seemed like that may not have been just like when they showed the first Lantern for the first time, and they obviously completely changed what his design looked like relatively shortly thereafter. It kind of makes you wonder if he entirely knew what he wanted to do with the Orange Lanterns at the time. But you're right. It could have been Hal.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be.
It could be because they're showing like look what's happening. It's like a timeline of what's going to happen. Look further now to the near future. And you see the Red Lantern power battery, which is going to get created in like an issue or two or something like that. And then, you have the human hands around the power battery, which also happens, in like a storyline or two, when Hal, ends up taking it. Although, I mean, I will be honest, you see human hands and nobody thinks that it's going to be Hal Jordan. At the time, if you look at the eyes, I thought that maybe they were going to bring back Extant for this.
I actually thought it was going to be Superboy Prime at the time. I thought it was going to be Superboy Prime, since he's so greedy about getting his world, his universe back, that I thought that's who it was going to be.
I feel like they probably would have done Red Eyes, or like at least like the heat vision, like red heat coming off of the eyes or something like that.
Well, true, but that might have been too much of a giveaway.
That's true.
And it is kind of fun that, they show mysterious person here for the Orange Lantern, but when you get the splash page, that you kind of see Larfleeze and a bunch of other Orange Lanterns.
And they all look like constructs, including Larfleeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is this supposed to be that's Atrocitus and St. Walker?
It's St. Walker on the bottom, on the left. It is definitely Atrocitus. Mm-hmm. You see Monk.
Is that supposed to be Carol up there?
I don't know.
In between the two blue chicks?
Doesn't look like Carol, though. The color is wrong.
Did we ever get that Red Lantern above them? That female Red Lantern with the scissors?
No. To be honest, we never got the War of Light, really.
No, we never really did.
Not like this.
No.
Not every corps for itself against one another kind of a fight.
Or even 50-50.
Yeah.
Even just half the corps. Because they could have done something interesting with that, too. Because the alliances could not be what you think they would be.
To be honest, that's one of my big disappointments with the Jeff Johns run, was not getting the War of Light. Not like this. I kept waiting. I was like, because they keep saying the 7 corps will fall, as will the universe. I mean, now I know that the universe ends. What are we gonna read? But I just
we'll be reading it.
I just mean, like, we've never gotten to the brink of, as far as Jeff Johns' run is concerned. I'm not talking about the new stuff with Relic and all that kind of crap. But as far as this stuff is concerned, we never got to the corps at war with one another, and some of them starting to fall, and that whole thing.
The closest thing was probably when the Guardians being the pricks that they are sent Larfleets to attack the Blue Lanterns.
Yeah.
So when you had the Blue Lanterns fighting for their lives against Larfleets and its constructs, because that was one of the things when they were looking at their map and everything is the war of light has begun. That's one of the things that you see that the blue and the orange are squaring off.
We have failed to contain.
But it never really gets much further. You have skirmishes, but you never had full out
war.
You had like arm wrestling, but you didn't have full military conflict.
Which is ironic if you consider too. How would the Blue Lanterns be on their own side?
Yeah.
Yeah, they need a green. They need a green or somebody who goes both ways with blue and green.
Let's find where the Green Lanterns are fighting, so we can make our stand.
Well, I mean, one of the goals, one of Ganthet's goals, was to kind of lure Hal Jordan over to the blue so that he could, be their champion and have the green and the blue ring.
I thought it was always Kyle.
No, he wanted Hal.
He wanted Hal.
Oh, it was Hal in the beginning.
In the Rage of the Red Lanterns, that's one of the big reveals at the end that St. Walker lays on Hal at some point is that you're kind of making it sound like he was he's kind of like destined to leave or the Green Lanterns to come lead the Blues.
I remember that.
So because he would have had enough will to fuel the entire Blue Lantern. The entire Blue Lantern Corps, and Ganthet kind of again one of the things they foreshadow I think in the one shot. I think it was in the one shot either way. It's when Ganthet appears. It's when Ganthet and Sade appear to Hal. So it's not the one shot. I think it's later on when they're telling him probably in actually 25. Now I'm thinking about it after they probably imprison Parallax or something that they're talking about. How they're going to do everything they can to assist you, or we'll do everything we can to assist you, and that's kind of what the Blue Lantern Corps was really designed for, was to assist the Green Lanterns. It was just done in a way you didn't expect. You didn't expect them to go off and form their own corps as a way of helping Hal Jordan and the rational Green Lanterns. Not that Hal is always rational, but still.
Yeah. All right. What else?
Issue 25 actually features an appearance from the Yellow Candle, the Bizarro Hal Jordan.
I was just looking at that page.
I feel like it's in the special that there's a panel where the Sinestro Corps is like attacking a world with a Green Lantern, and the Green Lantern is the one from the Dead Earth annual. From the Kyle Rayner run.
Oh, yeah.
Like that bird Green Lantern.
Yeah. What about Guy Gardner being attacked by Despotellus?
Mm-hmm.
And the Deus Ex Machina of having a Green Lantern that's an antivirus.
But there's a yin and yang for everything in both cores, so that would make sense. Well, I like the fact also that if you go back to the one shot when Superboy Prime is still being contained in his little prison cell, that it's kind of ironic now that Guy Gardner creates a Supergirl blowing him a kiss.
Yes.
Nice.
Considering he doesn't know who she is now.
Yeah, just because of how relevant she was, at least for a short period of time, wearing the same ring as him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. I just thought that was kind of ironic. I thought.
I wish.
Oh,
sorry.
Well, speaking of which, that was one thing that I thought was a little odd, because when they were on the antimatter, when they were on Quard, Hal Jordan grabs the yellow ring, and he's trying to make it work. Meanwhile, Guy Gardner, who he even makes a comment about how he used to wield it all the time. Like, he doesn't grab one to kind of amp up his own powers.
Wasn't Hal the only one at zero, or were they both out of power?
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, like, even if Guy had say 15% or whatever, it would be much better if he was wielding a 15% ring and a 100% ring together, or even just take one as a backup.
No, that's true.
I kind of wish Alan Scott had more to do in these as well. I mean, he's all over it as far as visually, But I'm there, and there's even one point where Kilowog says something like, "Leave it to Alan Scott and the Earthmen." But I think it'd be cool. It would have been cool to see Alan in there more, take a more hands-on role.
I like the Parallax one-shot too. I thought the art was really good in that, and it was kind of interesting seeing, kind of getting the first real look into what it's like when you're stuck. Basically, even though Parallax is technically stuck inside of you, how you feel like you're stuck inside of Parallax.
Yeah. Who did the art in that?
Adriana Mello.
Including the pinups of like Jade and everybody?
Oh, let me get to the back. Let's see.
Because there's that super detailed art of Jade and his mother and Donna and Alex. Those like drawings or whatever.
I think, yeah, the same artist.
Okay. Because those were so awesome to see, and the way they did that painting, that was awesome. Wasn't there? And if we've mentioned it already, I'm sorry, but is it even in here? The Blue Beetle special? Was there a Blue Beetle special or something with this?
Just a regular issue, right, Jim?
Yeah.
Or Blue Beetle.
I think he comes in contact with Guy Gardner.
That's just,
right?
But that's nowhere in any of these trades, including the Tales.
No, yeah. If you don't read it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, I guess, and even if you read that issue and you were a Blue Beetle fan, then it was basically just like, you know, he has an interaction, you know, with that, what was going on, but it wasn't like you had to go and read, you know, the big crossover to figure out what the hell was going on. It was just a story.
Speaking of the stories, what do you think of all the stories with the various Yellow Lanterns, like Despotellis and Bedovian and Carousel?
I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the origin stories.
Man, like, I wish they would do something like that now. Just give us, you know, put out a comic even if it's like quarterly, you know, where you just give us like a few Green Lantern tales that don't have anything to do with continuity. You know, it's just like, okay, now we're going to tell a story about, you know, the box Green Lantern. You know?
Random sectors.
Yeah, just whatever. And at this point, you can do it with, you know, with all the colors. They did that for Blackest Night, and it was awful.
Well,
for the most part.
Not all of it was awful.
Yeah. Like, you had, the first issue, I think, was really good. The second issue was half good, and the third issue was almost completely awful. The third issue also had, like, issue 0 of Blackest Night with commentary.
Well, let me see. Yeah, the first one had the St. Walker story.
Which was really a good story.
Yeah, Bleeze was great.
Well. Yeah, Bleeze was another standout. That was one of the ones where they had Kilowog, right? One of those, was Kilowog in one of those?
With Nermi?
Yeah.
Yeah, was that in that one? I thought that was in one of those 3 issues.
First issue had St. Walker story, Mongol, and Indigo 1 when she channeled, you know, all the different cores.
Oh, that's right. The first real appearance of the Indigo Corps, right?
Yes.
The tribe,
and
I should say.
I don't have 2 here, but 3 was Kilowog and his drill sergeant and Arisa, which they really dropped the ball on editing that story because, you know, the ring was passed on to the next of kin, basically. Remember, that irked me. And
I think 2 was Carol and Bleeze.
Yeah, where is 2? I don't seem to have it here.
And the Carol story was not good. It was like, it was by like a decent artist. Like, it was a really good artist.
Nicholas Flat, right?
No, it was.
Am I thinking of the 3-issue mini?
Yeah, that was the Wonder
Woman.
Woman.
It did Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. I can't remember his name now.
Is it? It's not Billy Tan.
No.
God, what was his name? Well, in any case, he's normally an amazing artist. It's just that in that story, it was nothing but Carol's face. You know, because it was like basically just, you know, the plane. And the colors were like so muted and boring in that. The Arisia story wasn't great. The Kilowog story was not great.
Oh, here it is.
The Kilowog story was like a cliche. Like, the whole thing was a cliche.
Gene Ha.
Gene Ha, yeah, Gene Ha. Gene Ha is a phenomenal artist. Sometimes, not that time. Yeah, I mean, like, back in the day, you had Tales of the Green Lantern Corps. You just get tales of Green Lanterns doing stuff, or stuff that they've already done in the past. Just, you know, stories about them doing stuff. And that's awesome. That's all you need. This was like, it's like, okay, well, we have, we're going to take each issue and split it into 3 parts, and then, some are going to be good and most of them are going to be bad. And that'll kill this concept for a while.
And Bloom actually had
Yeah,
another mini story.
I do remember that one. That was kind of interesting.
That one was funny.
Not glommy, but close enough.
So yeah, and the Tales of the Corps stories you guys were talking about in I think Green Lantern 25, we get the Sinestro story, and Lissa Drax ends it with, yeah, he was the greatest Green Lantern and he will be again, even if no one knows it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice place to end it.
Yep.
One of the things that I thought was kind of interesting, I don't think that maybe Johns gave a heads up or something to Van Jensen and Robert Venditti, or maybe not. And if not, which I highly doubt, we could talk about it here. I'm trying to find the exact page, but Sade quotes the Book of the Black. At some point, she says, "Okay, a face of metal and flesh shall speak the secrets of the 52. Fear will rise, willpower will gather, and a war of light will unleash the truth behind the power of the ring." What was the truth behind the power of the ring? What do we all think it was?
Wasn't that supposed to be the different colors?
I mean, was it the different colors? Was it, the whole reveal in Blackest Night later on about the White Lantern or the
I thought it was
entity?
the white. I thought it was, at least we were supposed to take it that it was the reveal. It was the reveal of where life began in the universe, right? And it had to do with the white entity and things too. That the Earth, how critical, how important the Earth was, and the white. I thought that was the secret behind the ring, and I thought that but there's something else that I can't think of. I thought there was another part of it, but I thought that was definitely part of it.
Kind of funny too. They make mention here that Hank Henshaw traveled beyond the
source wall.
The source wall.
What did they set it into? The bleed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because he did transfer his essence into the source wall. So that at one point, one of the many times he supposedly died, that was a time when Hal, right? That's what isn't that where he supposedly went after Hal, quote unquote, killed him when he was parallaxed?
Yeah, that was the Final Night one shot.
Yeah, the Final Night one shot. I think that's where Hank Henshaw supposedly went then. During that time was into the source wall. Because that's where Hal was when Kyle found him to try to bring him back to help save the Earth.
That was a good issue.
Yes, it was. The art wasn't that great in the Final Night shot, but the story was really good.
It was okay. I mean, it was Mike McKone artwork, which I
it's not. I mean, it's not like it wasn't how I view the artists who I think of when I think of Parallax. Besides Daryl, I also go back to 0 Hour, so I'm thinking of Jurgens.
Yeah.
So, but
anything else?
Jim, did the Sinestro Corps War make you feel better about the whole fear bug thing?
A little bit. I hated the fear bug, but I think by maybe like issue 7 or 8, then I was on board the story again. I still wasn't big on it. I think having Ion there definitely makes the fear bug slightly more palatable. Because it's like, okay, well, he's not the only one, and it also, yeah, I definitely like once you got that, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I think at some point relatively soon they mentioned the Predator. I think that's in Sins of the Star Sapphire. They mentioned the Predator, and like he's like trapped in like a crystal there, And it's like as soon as they mention the Predator, it's like, well, wait a second. You know, that's from back in the '90s series also. Or actually, was it even before that?
Yeah, late '80s.
Yeah. So you know, that was in the really old series.
And plus, they make it clear. They make it clear that the Predator is absolutely the entity of love, as the build up to Blackest Night. When I think when Scar is telling Black, making it clear that Black Hand, basically you are our entity, if you will, of death, much like the Predator, much like blah blah blah. So they actually, if there was any doubt, even heading into Blackest Night, that the Predator was supposed to be the entity of the Sapphires. I mean, Scar kind of gives you the reveal, I think, in the prologue to Blackest Night and Green Lantern, that was one of the entities she rattles off. Sorry, Jim.
Just those additions like definitely help, because then it's like you start wondering. It's like, okay, well, if John's pulled, you know, 3 of these, you know, these entities from concepts that have already been around, then let's see if he's able to do it with you know, the other 4. Unfortunately, not so much.
No, but it was kind of a nice hint that the idea that the Spectre might have been the Red Lantern one.
Yeah, that would have been great. That really would have been great. Or at least if the Spectre was bonded to the Red Lantern, you know, the Red Lantern entity.
Oh, the entity? Yeah, that would have been cool. That he was the host for it, basically.
Yeah.
That would have been that could have been an interesting way to go.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that when Kyle Lax pulls in Hal, the suit we get is basically the suit we get later on when Sinestro takes on Parallax.
Oh yeah, the yellow, pretty much.
It's almost exactly the same suit.
Yeah, each of them separately didn't have enough fear to make the suit yellow.
Right.
But you add them both.
I'm sure Johns was keeping the Sinestro Parallax thing in his back pocket for a very long time.
Yeah.
Even though they tease at it in like what, Green Lantern 49 again, when Hal takes in Parallax. And when Sinestro's trying to make the case, no, it should be me who's doing it. Look what happened to you last time. But at least after the fact, like in Sinestro 1, again, touching on old material, that they make it clear, Sinestro makes it clear that it wasn't quite as easy to control Parallax as he kind of made it seem in the wrap-up to Wrath of the First Lantern. That it took a lot of work.
There was also the scene, I don't think we talked about it yet, where Hal tells everybody to get the hell out of Coast City, and they don't. They put their green lights in the window instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't mention the details, but yes, the city without fear, which now hasn't exploded. Oh, I'm sorry, that's New 52 talk.
So now they're just not afraid for no reason.
That's right, but Hal still became Parallax. For some reason, they're not going to bother telling us, so it would seemingly be very, very important to know this. He stubbed his toe.
He was afraid that he was going to stub it again.
Yeah, he bet on the Broncos. He just couldn't deal with it. I don't know.
He was afraid he was going to become an alcoholic.
And drunk drive again.
For the first time.
That's right.
You know, looking back, it's kind of funny how many of the Lanterns we know are all dead and gone. Baduka, Laria. I mean, they've really decimated the core.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the Lost Lanterns had bought it, because even in this storyline, you had Kahan and
Jack Chance.
Jack T. Chance bought it.
Which I think Johns refers to in one of his little, the special interview at the end or whatever, is like Guy Gardner Light. Like that's why they killed him.
Well, he was the one that probably would have been missed the least. And you think about it, they killed the ones in this storyline that probably would have been missed the least. And obviously they had plans for Lara. We know that. We know that they had bigger plans for her. So Tomar's still around. Graf is still around. Is that it? No, Hanu is still around.
Hanu, yeah. Well, Hanu came in when this current iteration of the core, right?
No.
Or the 2000, what is it, 7 title, or was he around before that?
He was around in Emerald Twilight. He was one of the guys. That's why he's one of the Lost Lanterns. He's one of the guy Hal beat along the way to get to Oa. Actually, the first Lost Lantern that actually died was when they brought those characters back with Cyborg Superman, the guy with the eye patch, who I'm forgetting the name of.
Oh,
he's the guy that gets killed in that storyline. So that's when they find Arisia and the Lost Lanterns that are still alive. But the Lost Lanterns don't have a great track record. But Hanu's pretty cool, and actually I like Graf as long as he could stop telling us about not using the emotional spectrum anymore.
Shut up!
and Tomar's pretty cool.
Come on, Graf, don't be that guy.
What about the?
Why can't we use this again?
What about the what do they call it? Is it the table of contents or whatever that shows all the various lanterns and gives like little box bios? Was that in like a special issue or what was that? Because I only had
Secret Files.
Yeah, that was the Secret Files of the Sinestro Corps.
Yeah, that was cool. Some of these
Secret Files and Origins.
Some of these lanterns that like barely even spoke. Like there was the obvious Hulk ripoff, Schlagman.
Hey, but they have Budge in there.
Yeah.
They got Budge in there.
After he once bit through a policeman's neck, a judge ruled that Schlagman's teeth be removed.
and neutered.
He can now bite through anything, be it a steel door or the skull of the judge who pulled out his teeth.
You sure you're not thinking about the James Bond Jaws character?
he was sent into space.
Oh.
Where was Parallax before the storyline?
They never said.
Well, after Rebirth, what happened to him?
He was trapped in the
Central Power Battery again.
Yeah.
It was the Central Power Battery?
Yeah, because it's in Sinestro Corps that they're split up into the batteries.
Okay. So then...
No, he was in the yellow. He was in the yellow battery.
He was in the yellow battery, in the one shot, but the last time we saw him, and at the end of Rebirth, remember they fought and trapped him and pushed him back in the Central Power Battery in Oa. Yeah,
they transmitted him from the like Hal's battery or something.
No, the 4 battery thing was in issue 25.
No. I'm talking about when he was defeated, he was put in a battery, but he was put in the Central Power Battery through Hal's battery or something like that.
I thought they pushed him directly back into the Central Power Battery.
No, they weren't on Oa.
All of them.
I could look it up.
They weren't on Oa.
They were pushing them back toward... didn't think they did the battery transfer, because that's one of the things the Guardians were supposed to be prepared for on Oa, I think, was to basically help trap Parallax when they pushed him back that far. But
Parallax was sucked through the Lantern's rings into the Central Power Battery.
Boom.
All of them.
You said through their battery.
Yeah.
Through their
but
rings.
Either way, it's splitting the difference. It's splitting. The concept is the same no matter how we got there. Hey, you know who I found in this chat just flipping through?
Who?
Oliversity, our Snake Lantern.
He's in here?
Yeah, he is.
In the second half? Which volume? I mean, as far as the trades are concerned.
The Sinestro Corps Secret File and Origins.
Oh.
Yeah, he's actually listed in this.
Does it talk about his Venom? His super convenient Venom? I've got a Venom for that issue.
Which page is he on?
I'm trying to see the page number on this. He's almost right near the middle. He's across from Bizd.
Cowgirl. How I miss thee.
Von Dackel.
Oh yeah, the Moro story too. That was cool.
It doesn't say that he has basically unlimited number of Venoms, but it does definitely mention the Venom because they use it to create discover that antitoxins have long-term effects on the recipients, and they do mention his venom, but they don't do it as well. Like he's got a Batman utility belt of it. I thought that was pretty cool. Soda me out.
That is cool.
I think it's time for a new Secret Origins special issue, just to know what lanterns we have left, and
yeah, is Rotlop Fan still around?
Yes.
Are you saying that because you know that, or because you believe it deep down in your heart?
He's never been shown in any of the crypts.
Yeah.
He's still alive.
There's no bio for Box.
His bio is a UPC code.
Or UPS. We deliver.
Okay, guys.
We're done?
That's it for me. I'm done.
All right. Well, do you want to plug your show before we close out?
Absolutely.
Because Corwin's going to plug his.
Well, I know I'm not going to plug Corwin's. Although, maybe I should for the next one. What you call it? Yeah, Sliders Cast. If you want to hear me and Dan talk about stuff, we talk about it on the Sliders Cast. It's just like the LanternCast as it used to be, only better because we're talking about sliders.
What episode are you guys on?
We just posted episode 6 last week, so this week will be episode 7. I believe it's The Weaker Sex is the episode. Sliders land on a world where women are have the upper hand in society.
That's how it is now. So, how many episodes is the whole series? I mean, what are we looking at? 50 episodes?
There's 88 episodes.
Okay.
The show lasts for 5 seasons. In between each season of reviews, we're going to tackle some other little things. Like they were a number of comic one-shots and series.
Will you be getting to the Sliders novel?
At some point, we probably will get to the Sliders novel. We'll get to the Sliders Funny or Die Kickstarter parody. Maybe an interview or two. And then just some random topics about sliders and,
We'll be talking about burgers at one point?
At some point, we have to talk about burgers. It's a foregone conclusion.
And chicken.
Yeah, chicken sliders? I don't know about that.
Maybe.
But,
if you get desperate enough.
It's a lot of fun, and, I guess every once in a while, if we really want to, we can veer off and talk about just, other alternate universe kind of things in general, just because it's somewhat tied in. I like to think that everything is a possible Sliders offshoot.
The Exiles.
Sliders could coincide with, anything. They could just, phase into a world. It's like, oh, we're in a comic book world now. Okay. How long are we here? 32 pages. Perfect. Anyway. Yeah, sliderscast.com. We're on iTunes. Just search for Sliderscast. If you want to email us, it's sliderscast at sliderscast. Blah, blah, blah. That's it for me.
Well, thanks for coming on, Jim.
Thanks for having me.
No sweat.
Good to have you back, Jim.
Yes.
Corwin?
All right, listeners can find me on Earth's Mightiest Podcast. You can go to the website, earthsmightiestpodcast.com, where you hear us talk about all the Avengers books. We also have EMX, which is our X-Men podcast, where we literally just talk about the books like the listeners have already read it. So if you're not reading the X-Men books, you may not get much from it, but, we just talk about what we like, what we don't like. And also, Merc with the podcast, myself and Scott cover all things Deadpool.
Awesome. And how can listeners talk to us, Mark?
I'm not really sure anymore, Chad. Does it really matter?
Why would they?
Why would they want to? If you would like to contact us, email us, LanternCast@gmail.com. That's LanternCast@gmail.com. You can visit our website, LanternCast.com. You can access our forums. You can check out the movie reviews, our galleries, products of the week, month, whatever, whenever we do one, blogs, you can, etc., etc. Chad and I are creative, so stuff will be there. You can follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. You can use hashtag GLCast to locate us on both. We are on iTunes and Stitcher, and if you like us on iTunes, please leave a positive review. Last but not least, if you'd like to leave us a voicemail, call us at 708 Lantern. That's 708 Lantern, and let us know what you think.
And if you are any kind of fan of the Green Lantern stuff, Sinestro Core Wars is definitely something you should read. If you get the omnibus, just realize it does not the omnibus. I'm sorry, the Absolute Edition. Just realize it doesn't have the one shots in it. You can get the 3 trades?
Yes.
You can get the one shots in those as well. So definitely something listeners need to read though. Mm-hmm. And it smells great, the Absolute Edition.
Well,
it smells great.
Less filling, smells great.
Well, we're at the a little less than 2 hour mark, guys. So we were, plus it's kind of a special episode, so we're gonna skip the feedback this time around, but we are definitely getting to it next episode. And we won't tell you what's happening next episode, mostly because we don't know yet.
Well, I definitely want to say thanks for having me on, guys. Sinestro's my boy, so I'm really looking forward to hearing you guys cover his new ongoing title.
Well, you have heard us cover it already.
I was just going to say, and it was good.
Yes, it was great.
Waving his fingers in Jedi-like motion. You know you enjoyed it, Corbin.
Just edit that part.
Guys, this was definitely a good episode, but I don't know why you turned down the chance to have a drunk episode with me and Corwin again.
You can come on drunk for the Lorefleas series retrospective.
No, Threshold. We gotta finish out Threshold.
No, we don't.
You do. You do need to finish out Threshold, because I'm kind of curious how it ends, and there's no way that I can read those books.
I was gonna say, does that mean I have to read them? Because I have them, I just haven't read them.
You and me both, my friend.
All right, y'all. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Ford.
I'm Chad Bokelman.
Boy.
What?
I was last, right?
No, you weren't last.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was last.
No, I put myself last. It's okay, Corbin. Logically, it would have made sense. It doesn't matter. Just take 2.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Ford.
I'm Chad Bokelman.
And I'm Corwin Kroll.
And I'm Mark Marble.
All right. I'm sorry. I'll stop playing.
Actually, you should have said, and I'm Dan Kurtzky.
I like that.
We throw that at the end of the episode.
I will.
The way that he said it, it's like, and I'm Corwin Kroll. Like, that's it. No more after me.
Yeah, I know. So it's like
wait, I'm Mark Marble. Yeah. I'm here too.
I'm still friggin' Mark Marble, but I'm taking my comics and going home. I'll let the cats record for me.
Mark Marble's here too, sitting in a corner, staring at us creepily. Are we using this? Are we going with this?
No, I mean I'll put it at the end of the episode, but.
All right, sorry. Go ahead. serious time.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chad Bokelman.
God damn it.
I'm Corwin Kroll.
And I'm Dan Marble.
The amalgam universe lives.
Hi, everybody. I'm your worst nightmare.
I anticipated this.
you know, I wasn't going to be the one that started it. But once it got started, then I had to participate. Okay. For reals.